All right. That was awesome.
I love to tell the story. 'Twill be my theme in glory to tell the old story of Jesus and his love.
In Worcester.
In Worcester. In a hospital?
No, at home.
Yeah. Who was there?
Just mom and dad's all I know.
And what year was this?
1921.
Now, were you the oldest of all your siblings?
Am I?
Uh-huh.
No, Foster's older than I.
So was Foster there when you were born?
No. Yeah, he was there when I was born, but he was born in Denison.
Oh.
But all of them were born at home. None of them, not even Kay, was born in the hospital. Barbara's born in the hospital, and she was born in December, and Kay was born in October the same year, and was born at home. Mom wouldn't go to the hospital. My dad went to town and got the doctor and brought him out, and he was, well, her mother was there with her as a midwife.
Of Jesus and his love.
Back in the car down out of the driveway into a neighbor's barn.
Oh my God.
I was about 5 years old, I think. Well, my dad parked the car, and the driveway was on a hill, and I got in it and took it out of gear and backed it right down and turned it. I thought I was going to go down the alley, so I turned it and went into the barn. It was an old Maxwell. Had icing glass on for glass windows on the sides. Didn't have glass windows in. Another time, I wore a sweater home from an uncle of mine, and I told my mom the next day that I wore that home, and she said, I ought to make you take that right back. And it was about 1.5 miles to 2 miles out the road from the park where the church is, out to where Uncle Jimmy lived, and he lived out about 800, and then you turned and went up another road and then down into their house. And I went down the road and I told George, he was 3 years old, and he was on his kiddie car, and I said, you want to go with me? I got to take this sweater bag out home. So he said yes, so we both walked out there. Clear out there. There was a highway too.
Oh, wow.
Of course, there wasn't as many cars then as there is now. But anyway, I got in trouble that time. I got spanked for doing that. Well, I took a milk bottle across the road. Mom parked on one side of the road, and I had to go across the road. And I was 7 or 8 then, and I took the milk bottle over and came back. Well, I got hit by a car and hung onto the bumper for half a block from one alley to the next car.
Oh my gosh.
And then didn't get hurt a bit. I mean, I hung on, and he stopped at the next crossing, and I got out from under there and walked back and got in the car.
Like no big deal.
Yeah, but Mom had to talk to the guy, you know, but I just went back to the car and got in and wasn't hurt a bit.
Oh, wow.
So he hit you in the with the front of the car, obviously, and you went underneath
Yeah,
the
I
car.
was dragged underneath both tires on both sides.
Just hanging on for dear life. Wow.
But you couldn't do that now. You don't have bumpers like you had
Yeah.
back then. And it wasn't sitting up so high.
Right.
So that made it different. I mean, I didn't get hurt.
That's good.
I could have got run over
Where was that? In Worcester as well?
in Denison.
Okay, so when did you move from Worcester to Denison? Do you remember?
Oh, Mom said that was the worst years of her life. It was just, I said, thanks a lot. So anyway, they only lived up there a few months, and then.
Moved back.
But he kept the oil rights to that farm up there, and then he moved back to Denison. And he worked at Twin City Auto, and then he built his own shop there, and he kept the oil rights to that farm, and so he got money for that. Then whenever they drilled the oil wells, he got the money for that. So he bought the farm out and where we lived then. Washer was born in Denison, and then I was born in Worcester, and then George was born in Denison. So that's 3 moves there, and then we moved to a house where I got the car out of the garage, out of the driveway, and then we moved downtown, and then we moved down to country. So about 6 times or something like
Okay.
that. Park Elementary, and that's where the first Christian church is down there. You know where the church is in the park? I went to the park the whole 7 years. And then the 8th year I went to the Denison High School.
What year did you graduate?
39.
1939.
What was going on in 1939?
I graduated.
Good answer.
Well, you know, he was in the freshman year of high school, the same year I was in there.
Uh-huh.
We were in the same room. And he sat the last seat in the first row. And there was a little short girl that sat in front of me in the 3rd row over. And I kept teasing her about him because she was short and he was short too. He was only 14 then, and he wasn't as tall as what he was whenever we got married. But so he maybe been 5'2" or something like that time.
Yeah.
So I kept teasing her about him, and I was going down the steps one day, and I had a ribbon around my hair, and he pulled the ribbon out of my hair. He pulled the ribbon till it was loose, you know. It's in a bow up here, and then he just pulled the clear out. So after that, he kept teasing me a little bit, and so. But then he quit the next year. He didn't go to school the next year, and then about, I imagine I was a junior or senior whenever we started going together.
And he quit to work
Farm,
the farm.
yeah, that's what he did. But I told him when Christmas, he got me a watch, and then he got me a ring in January, and I told him he had to get a job before we could get married, so he went up and got a job at Republic Steel, and that's where he stayed. Kentucky, Greenup, Kentucky,
How come?
because I wasn't 21 yet. I didn't have anybody to sign. Well, Earl didn't have anybody to sign for him. I had somebody to sign for me, but they wouldn't sign for him. So, and he was only 20 also.
So you had to be, 18 to get married in Kentucky?
21.
21 in Ohio.
You had to be 21 down there too, but we didn't tell him we were 21. we went to the preacher's house and got married, and the preacher and his wife signed for us. So went from no bathroom to a bathroom. No, when I lived at home with Mom and Dad before I was married, I never had to live in a house that didn't have a bathroom and running water. It was after I got married that I had to go back to some of those other things because we didn't have the money to live in those kind of places.
Right.
We only had what he made at the mill, and then had to drive back and to, and that took a lot of money too to drive back and to all the time. So we had everything we needed, so I guess I can't complain on that. I was always happy. I moved 8 times the first year I was married.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Why?
Well, we moved to Canton, and then we lived in a 3-story apartment house. We lived on the top floor, and I was pregnant with Rennie, and I kept dreaming about falling down those stairs, so I couldn't stay there. So we moved back to Yorksville, and then we moved into a house in Yorksville, or out in the country, and then we moved to another house in town, and that was all within a year.
How was it like at first? So you had Rennie and Barb, and then Grandpa left, so it was just you with them.
Then I was done having kids. I mean, I had it with those two. Well, Barb was good, but Rennie never stayed home. I mean, the time he got up in the morning, he was out playing with somebody or going somewhere else. He never stayed home. He was born in 42, and Barb was born in 43.
Okay. And Grandpa went to war in 45.
Yeah, or no, he went to World War the same year Barb, with the year 44. The same year after Barb was born in December, he went in March.
Oh, wow.
Oh, 44.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was in there 20 months or something like that. He came home, and we had to go get him at the airport, at the railroad station at night.
Uh-huh.
And Barb was about 2 years old then, and she was in bed whenever he came home. So the next morning, I went in and got her and brought her in and told her that was her dad. She said, "That's not my dad. My dad's in the Army." So he got up and put his Army uniform on so she'd see his Army.
Oh.
And then it was okay.
How old was she?
She was 2.
2.
She was 2 in December, and he came home in 1st of January.
Wow.
So she was only 2. But that's not my dad. He's in the Army. He was real good to me. When Earl was at the service, he would pick up Rennie, and he'd pick up Rennie and take him up to the farm and take care of him all day that day, and then come back that night and sleep in his bed with him, and then he'd get back up and go back to Weirton the next day. So he worked in Weirton, but he'd come home on the weekends to go up to his mother's and work. And so that made it nice for me. He took Rennie up there, but he left him play around them horses, and they told me he was running around those horses' legs, and they never moved, or they just left him.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah. That would scare me if I was there.
Yeah.
Well, I had 5 kids, so that kept me kind of busy. I worked at Sears Roebuck, and I worked at the Sears warehouse, and for a whole year or two there. And then I worked at high school in North Industry.
Did they all get along pretty well growing up?
Yeah, you know, there was differences in their ages, and then Dina and Donna, they Dina was an inside girl and Donna was an outside person, and so David one day wanted to go sleigh riding with Donna outside, and Donna said, well, tell your friend Dina that's your buddy, tell her, because he was always with Dina. And he said, well, Donna, Dina's my indoor friend and you're my outdoor friend. So he got to go. And then she took him, but I don't know whether she really took him real good. I think she made him do a lot harder than what Dina would have made him do. We always played games with them.
Okay.
We'd sit around a table and we'd play, I don't know what, some kind of cards or dominoes or something. I forget what it was we played. And it was cards of some kind. And Dina wasn't old enough to play, but she would sit on her dad's lap and she said, why can't I play? And he said, well, you're going to have to learn your numbers first before you can play. And then by the next year, she knew her numbers. And she was playing with him at the table, the little table, by herself. I mean, he had played cards with her.
Yeah.
But Donna never cared to play cards. She was always outside playing. She liked freedom.
Yeah.
Who was the orneriest of your kids?
Other kids?
Mm-hmm.
Donna.
What did she do?
Oh, whatever she wanted to. Yeah. She had two little friends that lived across the street, and they were little boys. And they came over to our house once in a while, but boy, she bossed them around terrible. I said, you don't have to listen to her all the time. She's not your boss. You don't need to listen to her. And so they did anyway, though. And then when the oldest little boy was the same age as Donna, and they started the first grade together, so the bus come along to pick them up, and the little boy was going to get on first. You know, he was right up there and was going to get on the bus. She pulled him back. She said, me first.
Rude.
And she got on first, too.
So who was the smartest or the most studious, maybe I'll say it that way, of your kids?
I have to say Dina was really she came in 14 in the state in English.
Really?
She learned her ABCs. We buy cereal, and they'd have a letter on the outside of the box, a W or an A or whatever, and every time you get another box of cereal, she wanted to know what that letter was, and I'd tell her, and that's how she learned her ABCs. And then there's something else I was going to tell you now. I forget what it was. That's where my memory goes bad.
I don't know. It's been pretty good so far.
Yeah.
Barbara's smart too. And Barb kind of helped Dina too, because she was taking Spanish, and up in bed at night, why she'd have Dina, which was 6 years younger than Barb, tell her what the word was, and then Barb had to tell it in Spanish. And so that's how Barb learned her Spanish, was with Dina helping her.
Barb was gorgeous growing up. Was she really popular with the boys?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she's in the 3rd or 4th grade, she wore their names all over her shoes.
The boys' names?
Yeah.
Trying to get their phone numbers?
Yeah, I don't know. she pretty well. She liked to get around with boys. She liked to go to the dances. She liked to go to the different things.
She was
in
the social one.
She was in everything in the 8th grade that they had going on in the school, whether it was a English club or another club or whatever. She was in every one of them. You know, that was really a bad move for him, but I talked to him before, and I said, your dad wants to farm, and if he doesn't start it now, he never will get to, and so we'll have to move down there to have a farm for him to farm on. And so he went willing, and he went to that Marston School, which was a terrible way from where we lived, and he had to ride a bus, and he really didn't like that part of it, but he done good, and he learned good, and he was on the honor roll there too, National Honor Society.
Oh, wow. It sounds like you've not had much to complain about at all. You've done pretty well.
Yeah, I've really done okay, I think. And I think Earl was happy too, most of the time, only when I bought him out for his cigarettes, other than that.